Hey guys, today with a new series, the Anonymous Video Analyses. In addition to unlimited email coaching, I've decided to offer situational analysis of your situation a little cheaper if I can upload it here for everyone. I have already seen the added value with many other coaches and you can see directly how to approach such a thing. Maybe the situation even fits your own in one way or another. Who knows? I hope for more people who take advantage of this, so we can expand this a bit more. By the way, on the Discord server we have something similar, if you want to get rid of your personal situation, only everything of course and a bit more slimmed down. Like here I can't answer to every comment, unfortunately there's not enough time for that anymore. So let's start. Headline: Relationship with age difference plus long-distance relationship with plan for a common future. Was too long for me, and with the knowledge of the whole story a bit too vague, you see the title now. First of all, thanks for your help. Here is the story of my relationship, more likely ex-relationship. We met at the end of July/beginning of August 2018 on vacation in Croatia. Her stepfather had approached my mother in German and her mother was immediately cordial to me. I called her Mutti and it was funny. We both kept giving each other looks, neither made the first move. At the end of the vacation, Mutti wanted my number, I got hers. From then on it started. At that time I didn't know her age and assumed she was over 18 because she acted so mature. You can now well imagine how the WhatsApp chat started. She wrote with me from morning till night. But again and again the question came up, how old she is. She was 16, almost 17, and I was 44, which was a big problem for me, so I tried to make it a friendship. As you can imagine, we didn't succeed. It got hotter and hotter. We waited for the next vacation in 2019 in Croatia to see if this is more than we thought, and it popped so with us that we could not keep our hands off each other. In October 2019 I went to visit her in Slovakia for a week and it was really nice. She was already 18 at the time and came to Hamburg with her family in December 2019 to January 2020. Her parents were at the hotel and she was with me. Until that time we were very happy and already made the next plans. So much for the beginning. So the headline is the understatement of the century. Age difference plus with long-distance relationship. Yes, an age difference may be difficult in parts and not exactly easy socially, but the long-distance relationship was intense coming from Slovakia. I mean, that's 12 hours of driving, at least 2 country borders. You don't just do that, the time together has to be something very special, and this texting from morning to night, which is actually rather counterproductive, has to be on point, because otherwise you don't have any possibilities. You managed this for a year because you weren't in a relationship and you kept up the tension. You wanted confirmation if this was really going to work out the way you envisioned, and that's why it worked so well during that time. Because you knew that on day X you would see each other and you could approach it with a certain serenity. If it hadn't worked out, that's how it would have been. But of course that wasn't the case, because it kept building up between you and unloaded at the meeting on vacation. Also the time span in general in which you could not see each other, that was now in the beginning a year and then only 2-3 months. Sure, the times have shortened, but that has never really improved if I have read correctly. There was never in the foreseeable future an end to the long-distance relationship in sight, and that is of course something. Not everyone manages that. Both attraction technically and with the missing. I can now only speculate what plans you have made, but times further in the text, it comes to it already no longer. Where was I? Unfortunately, fate always has something new in mind with you, although I really do not believe in it. I think it all started at the end of January 2020 with the death of my uncle. I was so incredibly sad at the time and wished that she could now be with me, but that was not possible at the time. Yes, that's the problem with such intense long-distance relationships, it is usually not possible when it would be necessary, and inwardly you know that the partner cannot do anything for it. Somehow that sticks to him, but still in retrospect and under pressure and in the dispute is the argument what at least times can arise. From February I had the thought to end the relationship, which I did. But I was so incredibly unhappy with the decision that I wrote to her every day and apologized for what I had done to her. In the end she asked me if we wanted to try again. I said yes. That is, the whole thing went really wrong in a long-distance relationship with 3 to 4 really long meetings. I hope it was more, after about 6-7 months the first time. You were in a difficult situation that put pressure on both of you and you sort of overrode the positive ones with your negative feelings towards her and just wanted to get out of there for the moment. But in retrospect, when the pressure fell off, you realized that it was the wrong decision for you. Yes, good that you approached her. I mean, every day I wouldn't have done that, but if you are the one to go, you should also be the one to give yourself the nerve and make it easy for her to decide. This will have cost some trust and attraction, so any separation is never easy and sows of course doubts about your decision-making power. As a man, so to speak, what women rely on to some extent. That the man knows what he is doing. But in this case, the decision was made and good that this did not lead to games. Right on. Next step Part 2. Corona comes and questions the relationship. In May I had vacation and couldn't go to her place because of Corona. At the end of May, she messaged me and told me she was just as unhappy as I was in February and ended the relationship. She wanted to stay friends, which I could not do. Yes, this was probably not a receipt for what you did at that time, but rather your own feeling that you could not see each other for an indefinite period of time during Corona, and the fear of loss and missing were growing in her. But of course you gave her the opportunity with your breakup, so she didn't have to look for reasons herself, but could compare her situation with yours. It was a killer argument at that moment, because you knew exactly how it felt. And the topic of friends, the way you wrote it she said you couldn't. The truth, for sure, but with that she dictated even more how it has to go now. The next days were hell and I didn't know what to do, so I took a coach. One of the well-known from Sat1. I don't allow myself to judge now, because the last time that I voluntarily switched on Sat1 might be a few years ago. She advised me first to concentrate on myself in no contact. Nice, what I did, also with the prospect that we would meet again on vacation in mid-July 2020 for 10 days. I was afraid she would come with her new guy or she would turn away from me. You know, all the drama that goes on beforehand. Yes, this is a justified objection, but I see the problem in the fact that you have provided no contact with an end date and your head could only think up the worst possible scenarios. You live permanently with a sword of Damocles over your head, which can fall on you on the day of your meeting, and this ruins honestly with this fear every moment that you could use for yourself during the time of no contact. The mood should have been almost permanently so and bit depressed by it. But go on. My coach wrote me a message, where it said that we would meet with respect. Her answer was very warm, and namely that she would be very happy. I take back with the judgment what I do not allow myself, a prefabricated message after or in no contact. Jan's great idea. Works in a certain way, but not for the reasons you want to have any future relationship. Later more about it, first further in the text. On vacation I had a birthday and she even wrote to me. The day she left I wished her a nice journey and she was probably very happy that I thought of her. Now was the first reunion and we laughed and talked immediately. Perfect start to the ex-back I thought, the days were running. On the day of the decision, she said that she did not want a relationship anymore at the moment and I made my way back home deeply sad. Well, here's the thing, if you meet again after a long time and have any nice time, then that is actually nothing bad. When she sees, she has fun with you, it's all so effortless and carefree. But what do you think is going on inside her, if you now want to turn this short time on vacation into a relationship again, which is nothing else than the one she wanted to get out of? Really, I don't think she thought of you any differently than she did during the relationship. You were a man with potential for her and she had feelings for you right then. That's why the positive news. But the moment you demanded a decision from her, or even mouthed the word relationship, her head shut down and she went into defensive mode. That was the one topic she least wanted to hear about on vacation. You never bring up a new relationship as an abandoned ex. If it's not coming from her, they're not ready for it. Meet up, date, have a good time, yes, by all means. If you think their interest in you is high enough by mirroring their behavior, so if they ask about you with interest and keep checking in on their own, then you can ask about it. But asking the relationship question as an abandoner deprives them of that ease, and then you may feel like you are starting all over again, because the good time will then be overshadowed by that question. Usually nothing good comes out of it. Your self-worth gets a crack. They know how you think and that you actually just want them back and question directly whether everything was really as easy as it seemed to them. Was that the whole purpose of this action? To convince you that you should get back together? They then go into future interactions with you with that attitude. You are someone to be careful with, as you could always ask something like that again and they would have to stress about repeating the breakup. Alright, so overall, not a good plan. Already started with the message and having you actively interact with her on vacation at all. But, is over, what the heck? Early in the morning I messaged her to apologize for leaving, which she did, and that she felt terrible. Yes, that then connected her to you at that point. Someone she had to be careful not to feel terrible about herself. She kept writing all day, wanting to know where I was and that I would get home okay. The woman obviously meant you no harm and you mean a lot to her. That was definitely still salvageable at that point. When I got home I thanked her for being there for me all day and she said that she did that because I was worth it. That gave me hope that we still had a chance. I told her let's work on our relationship. She agreed and we video called and wrote every day. Difficult. One moment she says she doesn't want a relationship and a few days later she agrees? Can't imagine it was just the question out of nowhere from you. Every day writing and video calls. If I didn't know it would get worse I would say something, but at least that doesn't top earlier. Which is why you added the video calls on top of everything else. I would have said just take a GoPro and stream each other your day, then you have no more interesting stories when you see each other, but good. Since I had a week of vacation in September and October, I suggested to come, so we could work on us. She loved the idea at first. In the end she cancelled the first meeting saying it was too early. Then there was the second possibility and she cancelled that one, too. Yes, so that was then already somewhere partially the friend zone. There she had you on the hook, got her daily dose of attention, but after 2 to 3 months in the mode she actually flaked twice in a row just before the arranged dates. Rule of thumb on this, every woman who has to prove herself, so to speak, has 2 attempts. If she messes them up, she's out. Your time is valuable and you could have done something better with the time you spent writing and making video calls, as well as spending your vacation time differently. The behavior is simply disrespectful and she doesn't value your time as particularly valuable. If you now think to yourself, but she just decided that shortly before, it's quite sweet that she thought before that she would give us the chance, yes, no. Exactly, this spontaneous behavior shows how much attraction is present. Namely, not enough to really actively do something with it. A woman whose feelings are high enough to be worth investing his time in her, she receives you by falling around your neck and looks forward to the time with you. This insecurity may be legitimate, but there you just have to prioritize as a man. So since she had a birthday in October, I planned to come over and talk to her mother, from whom I learned that she had planned something herself. In the end she also told me something and I told her about my plans, which she probably thought were good, but it was apparently not possible to implement that. Shortly before her birthday, her behavior changed from one day to the next. I asked her if she was mad at me. She said, "I'm breaking up now," and was ice cold. A few days later I wished her a happy birthday and she thanked me. I can't say 100% if your planned action with her birthday played into this, but it should be clear that her mother would not have kept this from her. She had cancelled 2 meetings just before and didn't try to find replacement dates for them. Your response to that is to plan a surprise meeting. You're overstepping her boundaries with that, and if she caught on to that, I'm pretty sure that was the trigger it took for her to break away from you. Of course it could have been another guy, you don't know. But this ice cold and overnight, this is the end of a long process that has the goal to emotionally detach from you. And with the renewed separation, she took the first step again. Then to congratulate her on her birthday, yes, adult and all, but again not purposeful. Since my thoughts were constantly turning in circles, I wanted a conversation in which I could get rid of my thoughts and questions. This I also got, and the next separation was there. Joa, sure, she defended the separation. The direct back was not an option in her eyes, and everything you got in answers in it was actually just babble to make you mild and so that you could not make the separation harder or broken for her this time. The days and weeks passed and I became more and more sad. Even my early permanent employment in December 2020 had not brought me any joy. I had the urge to tell her about it, which I did in the end. And she answered immediately and very positively, asked personal things. From then on we wrote with intervals until the holidays. Then I had the thought again that it could still be possible with us. And to sum it up, every time the thought came up, you overreacted, accepted behavior from her that is partly common among friends and were satisfied with possibly having set your relationship status with her to taken, but not being able to act on it. That was at all times the moment when you should have restrained yourself. Don't misunderstand, I also see interest in her writing more of her own accord again and asking personal questions. But you are running straight back towards the relationship instead of just letting her approach you on her own and mirroring her behavior. Those were opportunities. Whether this would have made you happy in the long-distance relationship in the long run, after you already had the first breakups behind you after a few months, you don't know. But by pushing her permanently in the defensive attitude, even if it was well meant, well, so it becomes a constant back and forth and her interest cannot build up enough. When I told her that I was happy with the way things were going with us and that we could laugh together again, she replied that she didn't want a relationship with me. In the meantime, you don't even have to ask but just move in that direction and she already actively blocks. You will not believe it, now I wrote her the next day a rather long letter in which I gave her a friendship or something similar in prospect. In addition, I wrote her what I had done in the last year to understand what always goes wrong with me, for the purpose of coach. I could scream right now, cry and slap my open hand against my forehead. Where do I begin? The letter itself was hell in my eyes. But what was in it is pretty much all the mistakes you can make. You offered her a friendship even though you obviously had ulterior motives. Whatever, you had a friendship since March 2020 anyway. Making it official is death to your possible relationship in the future, but you told her about the coach? Don't misunderstand, there is a good and a bad way to tell something like that. You can say that you are seeking help because you have problems of your own and want to solve them in yourself. This is personality development and it is something you like to see in partners and potential partners. This is something that will bring you further. But if I have understood correctly, you have disclosed exactly what all your thoughts were in the last year and that you tried to analyze and manipulate with a stranger her emotional state and especially her in general. Q pre-written message and no contact, which I don't know if it's said to ignore or just pay more attention to yourself and not contact her on your own accord. Either way, revealing your tactics to her doesn't put you in a very good light with most women who aren't actively dealing with something like this yet. On the contrary, they feel fooled, even if your intention was to be a better partner for her when she is back at your side. And she now has this in black and white in front of her to be able to read it over and over again. After I found out who she was dating, I gave up all my hopes anyway. How can I compete with a diplomat? I only work in medical logistics. The feeling of worthlessness is very big in the room. I won't ask how you found out who she is with and what he does. That doesn't matter anymore. The fact is that a man must have much more to offer than just a good job. You really don't need to equate that at all, and your problems were never that she was looking for someone better or monkey branched, where you might have to draw the parallels and improve yourself. The problem with you is that you were permanently too needy and tried to do everything right for her. Dancing to her tune to get what you wanted. The chances were there, and like any relationship, her current one can fall apart. I really suspect that the block is the fact that she wants to keep her current relationship from you. That means I don't think the chances are very good that something will happen in the next few months and you might not have the bond to make the interest strong enough for her to contact you again, but if you do, you have to control your own feelings better and mirror her behavior. See interest and attention for what they are and by no means address your relationship status. Neither friendship, nor relationship. You need to stand by what you want, but not out of neediness but through your actions. Then there's the problem with long-distance relationships. They are generally hard to get back, because you just can't have so many beautiful, effortless moments. That was your problem trying on vacation after the breakup. It's temporary and you think that your time is running out. All this makes you more and more panic that something has to happen now. But a relationship that is so much trouble and stress, you wrote yourself that the year was hell for you. After 50 days of no contact you must have realized that the world keeps turning and the more you distance yourself, the better it should get for you after such a shitty year. This worthlessness you feel is because you are comparing yourself to a guy you don't even know and who you value more than yourself only because of his profession. Everyone has his skeletons in the closet and his little problems. He is not excluded from that, but you don't have to care about that. Why should you care? Make the best of yourself, then no one can reproach you. Basically, no one can anyway, if you know that you are a little better every day than the day before. Then you don't give a shit about other opinions. You are now in month 2 of no contact. You say yourself that you have only been on her profile a few times. I think you are on a good way to rebuild yourself and get away from her. That is also bitterly necessary if there ever comes something again. And in your case it's really important that you don't try to contact her yourself. Because the best case would be that she is nice again and writes with you normally, and in that case you can't judge if you can work with the attraction you have for her or not. If not, it will end up like the whole last year and you will only get out of it by the separation blow from her side. Really take care of yourself and don't accept anything less than a message from her personally. I wish you all the best for the future and hope that the others have been able to take something with them. This might be by far the longest video so far, but that's how my coaching sessions are going at the moment, and I have to admit, I might be talking and writing a bit too much. Take care and until the next video.